Okay, let me start presentation. I hope you guys see my presentation, right?
Yes, Sam, we are.
Perfect. So I once again welcome you. Thanks for joining an event today. Again, this is a weekend event. I know everyone has their personal hours, and still you guys are coming back to back every weekend and joining the community meetup. That helps me motivate to bring more and more events for you. One highlight would be an update would be, I am planning to start, monthly twice the event. That means I will share one event on weekdays and one event on weekends, because there are many people who told me that they need an event on weekdays because they cannot join because of personal reason on weekends. So to help those guys who cannot join on weekend, there would be one more event going forward in weekdays. Okay, so let's start. We have a good action-packed agenda. We are going to talk about my introduction, Apple updates, Jamp updates, and the main highlights for today's meetup is all about Apple Worldwide Developer Conference 23, which happened on 5th on June this year. So hi, my name is Salim Ukani, and in MacAdmin community, people know me from Samstar 777 name. I have 15 plus years of experience in both Mac and Windows platform. I like to collaborate with people. I like to help people. And that's where I started this community, India's MacAdmins, to help all my Indian brothers and even anyone from abroad who would like to join this community. Apple updates. As of today, the latest update from Apple is for iOS and iPad OS is 16.5.1, and for Mac OS it is 13.4.1. I've also given you an URL here. If you go to that URL, you can read more about this update, what is covered, what security vulnerability has been fixed. One important highlight with respect to Mac OS is, this version of Mac OS 13.4.1 is failing on many Mac devices. It is random. In my organization, it went well, but there are many other organizations where it failings with an error. Apple is aware of the issue and Apple is working towards a fix. So if you have come across where a people saying that it is failing, it's a known issue. Either call out to all your users via email that okay, there is a problem with this update, it might fail, or work with cyber security and delay or defer this update till the time a fix comes out from Apple. Jamf update. The latest version as of today from Jamf is 10.47.0. We have a URL here from learn.jamf.com, which tells you about documentation for this particular binary. And here are few features which comes with 10.47. We now have enrollment SSO from Okta with a verify application. So there is a verify application which helps in enrollment SSO. What is it? We can read in next slide. But now we have some enhancement. Jamp is very focused on app installers. Month by month, we see many enhancement from Jamp on app installer. So we have app installer enhancement, and we also have app installer improvements. Okay, there is a USB mode restriction introduced with this binary. We can see what exactly it is, and a document change when you want to set your wallpaper on your Mac device and on your iOS devices. But for Mac admins, very important thing is, if you are going to upgrade your instance, you need to make sure that due to a database change in 10.47.0, you have to or you must now perform an incremental upgrade. So you need to go to first 10.46.x before upgrading to 10.47.0. Obviously, this will happen for a premium cloud member where a premium cloud engineer can schedule their update. So they need to make sure they first update to 10.46.x before 10.47.x. Okay. Or if you are on-prem, make sure you follow this incremental upgrade, else you will face a big issues. Enrollment SSO with Okta. So enrollment enrollment with bring your own device program using Okta as an identity now includes enrollment SSO workflow for account driven user enrollment experience. So now account driven user enrollment experience is new. What is this? We will cover this in future slides. But remember, account driven user enrollment experience. Okay. While doing the enrollment SSO workflow with account driven user enrollment, Okta now install a verify.app in the device, which facilitate enrollment into Jamfro. This is currently officially supporting iOS 16 or iPad OS 16 and later, but it will soon be officially supported on Mac OS platform. I have seen those slides somewhere. Okay. To access this feature in Jamfro, if you are not aware of this, you need to go to Jamfro, you need to go to settings, you need to go to system, and under system you have single sign-on. Note, enrollment SSO with Okta is only supported by Jamfro today and no other MDM has these capabilities. Installer enhancement. I am aware that there are many Mac admins who leverage app installer for application installation and application update. And there was a big feature request from many Mac admins that we need an ability to make this application available in self-service, because this was a forced installation. We need an ability so that we can make it available in self-service, and Jamp has made it possible. With 10.47, you now have an ability to make your app installer application available in self-service. Plus, you can now create multiple deployments with duplicate display names. So you have smart group scoping now, where you can create one scoping for self-service available, one scoping for force deployment. That is possible. One more enhancement over here is for mobile devices. So now we have an ability to customize the self-service button name for mobile devices. Improvements. Let's talk about app installer improvements. So now Jamp has changed the user notification tab from app installer and rename it to end user experience. This is because Jamp want to bring a best end user experience with app installers. With the rename of this end user experience, they have also provided new options. First option is enable force quit grace period. When you deploy an app installer, it will now give an ability to end user to save their work before the time limit which you have set. So if you have set 15 minutes, so 15 minutes is the time where user can save the work before which, after which the app will be force quit. We also have a custom complete message push notification now in App Installer, where you can write maximum 150 characters with a message that, okay, your application is successfully updated or completed now. And as we have enforce force quit feature, we also have a new feature called automatically open app after update. So before update, it will close the application. Once successful, it will say application is successfully updated. And after that, it will now also automatically open the application once updated. But you need to select these options. If you enable this option, only then it will automatically open. Okay. USB restriction mode. So now this is a new payload setting under restriction, which when you configure will prevent a connection to any USB accessories if the computer is in a locked state for more than 1 hour. So imagine I have locked my computer, went for a lunch or a walk or a meeting. If the machine is locked for more than 1 hour, and if someone connects a USB accessories, it will not be connected if you deploy this configuration profile. Jampro has given us this many features, but let's talk about deprecation. This deprecation is very helpful for Mac admins. Going forward, if you try to create a new policy which has a package, which has a recurring checking trigger and a frequency ongoing with a scope for all computer or all user, then you will not be able to create this policy because this breaks deployment because of the recurrence of the policy triggered on every devices. So you will not be able to create such policy going forward. And once this come into effect, all your existing policy in your environment, which has a package, which recurring with a trigger recurring check-in, frequency ongoing and has a scope for all computer and all user, all those policy will be automatically disabled. So I will call out that go back to your environment, check all your policies. If your policies has this trigger for recurring checking, has a package, has a frequency ongoing, and it is scope for all computer or all user, then please change, tweak or modify those policy. Otherwise, they will be automatically disabled. Okay. If you are checking this video in our YouTube channel and you are new to India's Mac admin community, this is the right time for you to scan the QR code and join the community. We have many active Mac admins here who try to help each other. I'll give you a minute to join the community.
ಎಲ್ಲರೂ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಂಡು ಅದ್ರಲ್ಲಿ ಜಾಯಿನ್ ಮಾಡಿಸ್ಕೊಳ್ಳೋದು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಬಿಡ್ತಾನೆ ಎಲ್ಲ ಹೊಸ ಹೊಸ ಬಿಟ್ಟಿದೆಲ್ಲ ವಿಡಿಯೋ ಇದರಿಂದ ಮೀಟಿಂಗ್ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಟು ಯೂಟ್ಯೂಬ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ
I would request you to mute yourself.
So here we don't do much, but here we can just manage that.
So with that, let's talk about the main topic for today, that is highlights of WWDC 23. If you have not seen the Apple event for WWDC, here is the YouTube link. Open the link. It's a 2 hour keynote from Apple. I recommend you to go and check the keynote. It's a wow factor, gives you good amount of knowledge on what all is coming from Apple. I have covered you most of them, but it is also good to go and check the video. Apple has introduced a very new special experience now, which is called Vision Pro. Vision Pro is basically an AR headset, but Apple says this is a computer which has a dedicated OS, which is Vision OS. And there are many use cases for executive team members who can wear this headset and virtually can connect to their meetings. They can see the dashboard, their desktop and whatnot. Vision Pro was announced in Apple WWDC 23, but a product launch of Vision Pro is going to come. The Apple team is working in background, and very soon we will see a product launch and we will have many use cases where we can use Vision Pro in our organization. Apple is always focused about productivity, and that's where Apple brings more and more productivity powers, compute power on our devices like MacBook Pros, MacBook Airs, Studio, and Mac Pros. We now have M2 chips, M2 Pro chips, M2 Max chip, and Mac M2 Ultra chips. Okay. With this release, Apple has completed the transition from Intel to Apple Silicon. And we now have Mac Studios, which supports M2 Max and M2 Ultra. This is very technical, but this brings out enormous compute power. This is what we have in M2 Ultra. M2 Ultra chip can support 24 cores of CPU, up to 76 cores of GPU. It has 32 core of neural engine and ProRes. It can support up to 192 GB of unified memory. Wholesome, powerful device. An M2 Max chip and M2 Ultra chip is now supported on Mac Studio. It also has 10 gigabytes of Ethernet port, HDMI port, SDXC port, and 4 Thunderbolts adapters. Mac Studio supports up to 192 GB of unified memory, and it currently officially supports macOS Ventura, and it will also support the new macOS Sonoma once it is released. Mac Pro. Mac Pro supports M2 Ultra. It has two dedicated HDMI ports, dual 10 gigs Ethernet cable, 24 core CPU, 70 core GPU. It is 3x, up to 3x time faster than any fastest Intel based Mac Pro, and it is 7x time faster than any static configuration of Intel based Mac Pro. Basically, it is the most powerful chip for a personal computer ever. Let's talk about the new hardware. Apple has now introduced a 15-inch MacBook Air with M2 chip. Wow. This MacBook Air is super portable because it is very light, okay? And it is super productive because it gives you up to 18 hours of battery life. 18 hours, guys, 18 hours, okay? Here is a glimpse of MacBook Air. We have M2 chip supported by MagSafe. It has Touch ID, Magic Keyboard, only 3.3 pound of weight. It's the world thinnest 15-inch laptop, gives up to 18 hours of battery backup, very silent in design, support up to 2 terabytes of storage and up to 24 GB of memory, 6 speakers, 8 core CPU, 10 core GPU, and 1080p camera. It is up to 12x time faster than any fastest Intel based MacBook Air. So 12x time faster, super powerful, very big screen, very helpful. So MacBook 15-inch is announced in Apple WWDC 23, but Apple is not taking out our options for purchasing M1 device or M2 device. With this, we now have a choice for enterprises. We can either purchase a 13-inch MacBook Air with M1 or a 13-inch MacBook Air with M2, or we can go for a 15-inch MacBook Air with M2. And the prices here are retail price. This is not business price, but we have 3 separate variant of hardware to purchase. I have surely ordered a 15-inch MacBook Air for myself. It is going to really help in my productivity with 18 hours battery backup and a very good 15-inch display. Not only Apple has announced, the MacBook 15-inch Air hardware, but also a Mac OS. Mac OS Sonoma. Mac OS Sonoma is going to power us with productivity. Okay, it has huge enhancement when it comes to video conferencing enhancement. It has ability of keeping our widgets on our desktop. We have profiles in Safari. We can keep one work profile, we can keep personal profile, school profile in Safari now, and it supports a very high performance screen sharing ability. On my screen, what you see is called presenter overlay. Okay, going forward, when you are in a Zoom meeting or Teams meeting, with a gesture of your finger, it can show you an animated effect in your background. This is called presenter overlay, which is coming. Here is the detail of Mac OS Sonoma. Obviously, it gives us profiles in Safari. It has game mode. We no longer has to call Hey Siri. We can call Siri. It has predictive text. It supports presenter overlay. We can keep widget on our desktop and enhancement on camera reactions and many more things for Mac admins, which we will cover in later part of the slides. This is all about Mac OS Sonoma. Let's go and talk about iOS 17. So iOS 17 also brings a few enhancement, a very good enhancement, like name drop. Now you can share your contact by just going near to a different iPhone user. Name drop is a cool feature. I loved it. When I see it, we have contact postures now where you can keep a very good image of a people who are contacting you. We have standby. We know that with iOS 14, we have always on display. So during night hours, we can keep it on standby, which can give you a beautiful clock and a calendar, all the alarm which you need to use. It has checking options and few other stuff. But for me, important enhancement for me is offline map, name drop, and contact postures. This is how the contact posture will look when a people call you when you are on iOS 17. And this is how shared name will work. You can share your contact from iPhone to iPhone, and also you can share your contact from iPhone to an Apple Watch. As I told you, standby, here is a glimpse of how standby works. This is one view of how standby will work. It will show you a beautiful clock, a calendar, a date, a day, a temperature, and alarm if you have some. Okay. So overall, what all we are going to get with iOS 17? We are going to get airdrop and name drop, live voicemail and call postures. We have FaceTime video message. You can do a video message in FaceTime now, and interactive widget. I will not go in details of iPad OS, but yes, we now have a flexible layouts with stage manager update in iPad OS, offline maps, PDF autofill is in iPad OS now, AirDrop continues when it is out of range, and redesign of lock screen. So lock screen widget and live activities are there on your iPad now. We can autofill PDFs and notes collaboration. Stage manager is there and free flow along is there. These were all the updates for iOS, iPad OS, Mac OS. But what is there for IT, for Mac admins? So let's cover what is there for us this year when it's come to managing the new updates for IT. Very big highlight is manage Apple IDs. The future which I see is going towards manage Apple IDs. Why manage Apple IDs? Who can use manage Apple IDs? What are the benefits? Let's see a few things. Manage Apple IDs can be created for Apple business and Apple schools. Okay, we can create manage Apple IDs by going to Apple Business Manager or going to Apple School Manager. And when you create this Apple Business Manager accounts manage IDs in Apple Business Manager, you can use this manage IDs in account driven enrollment or share iPads. So again, we have account driven enrollments. We are going to cover account driven enrollment in future slides. So this is a new terms when it comes to enrollment. So with manage Apple IDs, we can leverage manage Apple IDs for account driven enrollment. Basically, we are going to start the enrollment by authenticating a user from a manage Apple ID. There are new features in manage Apple IDs. So manage Apple IDs has expanded its access to iCloud services like Apple Wallet, Continuity, and iCloud Kitchen. So if you have managed Apple IDs, you can also leverage some iCloud services. You can leverage Apple Wallets. You can leverage Continuity Camera, and you can also leverage iCloud Keychains. Along with it, we can also leverage passkeys. So we can deploy passkeys to manage devices. These passkeys will help is in a seamless sign-on experience. If you don't know what is passkeys, I will recommend to go back to my previous YouTube videos where I have explained you in details about what is passkey, how it works. These passkeys will be stored with managed Apple IDs. It will be synced across your managed devices. And entire control of the passkey will be there with a MacAdmin, and IT will control it. And how can we control this? All these things can be controlled by Apple Business Manager or Apple School Manager. Okay. Under Apple Business Manager, we will now have something called access management. Under access management, we will have where you want to allow a login of manage Apple ID. And we can choose whether we want to only allow sign in to a managed device, or we want it to allow the sign in on a supervised device. This is the setting which we can control from access management. We also have and control for limiting the communication to organization. If you see on the screen, we can allow a message to send to anyone, or we can set it to only organization. That means with this control, you can restrict end user to communicate with only organization employees, because we have managed Apple IDs. They can talk to organization people only. And we also get control access to specific Apple services, like contact, calendar, notes, reminder, and Safari. We can control this Apple services through access management. Imagine I have disabled reminder in this screen, and once this is disabled on a device side, if you see reminders over here is grayed out, and the message says, this is configured by a managed account. So this is how we can control access for a specific application directly from access management. Custom identity provider support. What Apple is saying here is basically any identity provider which supports open standard, means OpenID Connect for federation authentication, a scheme for directory sync, and OpenID shared signal framework. Apple is here to support them to bring this customization, manage Apple IDs to them. Okay. I know about Microsoft. Microsoft has OpenID connects, and Microsoft has a straight federated integration with Azure AD, by which your organization email address will be a managed Apple ID. I am also aware that Okta is working with Apple to bring this integration into picture. But yes, this is what is coming. And I recommend, if you have not seen Manage Apple IDs till now for your organization, please start reviewing Manage Apple IDs for your organization. This is going to be future. Enrollments. Yes, we all know about enrollments, but things are changing. A simple example is, if you guys are enrolling your devices today by means of user initiated enrollment, spoiler alert, that is going to be deprecated. It's not going to be removed now, but it is going to be deprecated. Going future, you cannot go to a browser, add your credential, download a mobile config, and install the mobile config. That is going to be deprecated in future. And there are new ways of enrolling a device now. What are those? Automated device enrollment. One is automated device enrollment. Second is device enrollment. And third is user enrollment. How these three differs from each other and what change it? Let's see. We all know when we see a remote management screen on our Mac, that means there is automated device enrollment, which will automatically enroll the device to our MDM solution. But what all we have in this? There are good changes. So automated device enrollment is designed for new and refreshed devices. Okay. This type of enrollment automatically enrolls your device to MDM, but there is more to it. Very important feature which I would love to have and everyone would love to have is now we can configure a required minimum version of iOS, iPad OS, and Mac OS when we are enrolling a device with automated device enrollment. I can give you an example from my organization. Many of time what happen is one of the Mac support guys takes out a Mac from stock and they rebuild from internet recovery, which gives them not the latest one, but the base version which came with the OS. And as soon as they install the OS and power on, connect to network, automated device enrollment triggers and the Mac is enrolled with an outdated Mac OS that breaks our compliance level. And we cannot do anything. Once enrolled, we can guide them, please upgrade. But going forward in future, we will have new capabilities where we can say we require minimum 11.3.1 Mac OS for enrollment. And if it is automated device enrollment, it will make sure that device is enforced when end user is enforced to do that before they enroll a device. How this will work, what configuration is needed, this is all thing which we can discuss in future, but this is coming. Second is we can also enforce file vault during setup assistant. And we can also enforce enrollment of a Mac. You know, what happens is when a first time Mac user is trying to enroll, they turn off their network and they go straight to the desktop. And now we also have an ability to enforce such enrollment through MDM. This is automated device enrollment. Let's talk about device enrollment. What is device enrollment? Device enrollment is designed for devices already in use. This is manual way of enrolling. How it will enroll? It will enroll with the account driven enrollment process. So this is new. We will have an ability to enroll a device from account driven enrollment process using our manage ID. We will sign in with our manage Apple ID and then the enrollment will be triggered. We have an ability to keep personal and work data separated, and enrollment SSO today is supported for iOS and iPad OS only. In near future, we will also have similar functionality for Mac OS. I can talk about Microsoft. Microsoft is bringing platform SSO in H2 this year, and that will bring a robust, seamless experience for Mac users, where once you sign in, there is no more requirement for you to enter a password. Then we also have user enrollment. User enrollment is designed for personal devices. Okay, and it also comes with curated bring your own device management capabilities. Again, we are going to use account driven enrollment process here, where we will sign in with manage Apple IDs and personal and work data would be separated. Okay, how can we configure device enrollment? How can we use user enrollment? What are the settings? How to do all these stuff will come in future events. For now, you should be aware that this is coming. Things are changing. Bring your own device is coming. Okay, for Mac OS as well. These are the curated bring your own device management controls. What all we can do on a personal device. We can configure account. We can configure per app VPN. We can install and configure application. We can enforce certain restrictions. Okay. We can require a passcode on iPhone and iPad. And this passcode requirement would be basic. You cannot configure a complex passcode requirement on a personal device. Okay. Access inventory for work app only, and we can remove work data only. We cannot delete or wipe entire device when it comes to a bring your own device scenario. Let's go to the next update, which is very important for Mac admins. That is software update management. Apple has announced declarative software updates. What is declarative software update? With declarative software update, you can now enforce an update by a specific date and time. You can enforce an update on iOS and also on Mac OS. That means when you specify that on this date and this time, enforce an update on that day and that time, the update will be installed. Before installation, it will also give a unified notification to user that this update is available and this is enforced by your organization. Not only it can notify, it can enforce, but it can also give you a status of reporting whether the update is installed, failed, pending, in progress. Let me show you an example of this on an iOS device and on a macOS device. On an iOS device, over the left, it says your organization has decided to update your device to iOS 17. You can choose the update now, or it will update automatically on 5th of June, 10 a.m. So that's the date and time I have scheduled, and it will enforce the software update on that or after that time. Okay. Same way on a Mac OS, it says an update to Mac OS 14 is past due. You can install it now, or it will install automatically within the next hour. So this is an update on iOS and all Mac OS. This is coming with iOS 17. This is coming with Mac OS 14. Very good for Mac admins, easy to use. No need of complex scripting, creating notification. Everything will be managed with these payloads. How can we configure? How can we implement? How can we test? All these things will come in near future. But for now, you should know this is coming. This year, Apple has also introduced MDM controls for Apple Watch. All the familiar management controls are available for Apple Watch. It is designed for supervised devices. You can manage all security and network components of Apple Watch, and you can also deploy Watch OS directly to Apple Watch. This is new. I don't know how many organizations will want to, manage Apple Watch, but if you want, if your organization needs such capabilities, MDM control is now available for Mac OS. It is coming, it is announced. Okay. If you guys are excited about all these updates, and if you want to test it out yourself, I would suggest enroll yourself for Apple Developer Program. It is like 8,700 Indian National Rupee per year. You will have access to all developer beta. You can test it out. And if you don't want to spend developer uh, on developer beta, public beta can also be available to you. Maybe public beta starts from second week of July every year. So get hold of public beta and start your testing. I also wanted to highlight that going forward in our near meetings, these are the few topics which I'm going to cover. And the first topic which I'm going to cover in next meeting is how to manage an end user local account uh, from standard to admin. Imagine in a scenario where all your user has standard account. So how can we leverage a solution where we can give them ability to update their rights on their own from standard to admin for a specified period of time? Okay, for end user. For developers, if they need more robust access, they need terminal to do scripting and stuff. How can we give more robust controls for developers, and how can we give permanent admin rights by following a cyber security process in the organization? So this is a topic which I'm going to cover in near future. And then zero touch enrollment and labs is going to come somewhere later in the months. Okay, I think today's meetup was very helpful to you. And if you are not part of my community on Champ Nation. Yes, I have hosted my community India's Mac admin on Champ Nation. Go to community.champ.com, sign in with your Champ Nation ID, look for user group, and under user group, you will find India's Mac admin. Join there. That is the place where I always host my events. It will give you notification that the new event is hosted. And this will help you understand, okay, this is the weekend where the event is hosted, and you can follow up, make sure you are available and join the events. Okay. With that, I would like to thank you guys to join this event today. Thank you very much. Let me stop the recording.